Hello everyone, welcome to channel Qtomation. In this session we will see about Python decorators. What exactly is Python decorator? It is a design pattern that allows you to modify the functionality of a function by wrapping it in another function. So the outer function is called decorator, which takes the original function as an argument and returns a modified version of it. So if we want to add some additional functionality to another function, we can use Python decorators. We will see detailed examples about Python decorators, but before that, some prerequisite information needs to be known. In Python, everything is about an object. Even functions are object. We can create nested function inside Python. We can include one function inside another function. That is known as nested function. So I will show you one example of nested function. Let's create a new Python file. I am naming it as decorator demo. First we will see nested function in Python. So as I said, in Python we can include one function inside another function. So let's say I am defining one function, outer function, which will take one parameter x. Inside this function I am defining one more function, let's say inner function, which will take parameter as y. Then we are going to print, let's say we are going to perform subtraction operation. We are going to return x minus y. And then we have to also return inner function. And now, so basically this is basically example of nested function. If you see, we have defined one outer function which accept one parameter as x. Inside that there is another function, inner function, which accept y as a parameter. It will perform x minus y operation and it will return that value. And now what we will do, I am going to create or pass one value, let's say outer function I am calling first, and inside this outer function I am passing the value as 10, and we can assign this value to one variable. Let's say I am just putting subtract 6 equals to outer function in which we are passing 10. Then I am creating one more value, let's say result equals to, in this subtract function, so basically what I will do, I have created one subtract 6 function. In this I will pass another value, let's say 6. So what it will do is, so when I am going to call this result, let's execute this. So we have to basically print the result. Result is not a function, so we can simply print the result value. So let me just explain the flow. So what will happen here is, when you are printing the result, it will call subtract 6 function in which we are passing 6 as a value, and it will basically call outer function in which we are passing 10 as a value. So first x value will be captured as a 10. In inner function we are passing y value as a 6. So basically in inner function it will be capturing y value as 6 because we are calling outer function here. So it will perform x minus y operation, that is 10 minus 6, and it will return the value as 4. So when we execute this file, it should return value as 4. So this is the example of nested function. So in Python, we can create or include one function inside another function known as nested function. For example, here we have created inner function inside the outer function. Now let's understand one more point. We can also pass function as an argument to another function in Python. We can also pass function as an argument to another function in Python. For example, I will show you one example. So basically, let's create one function in PyCharm. I'm just commenting this part. Let's see the example for passing function as an argument. So we can also pass function as an argument to another function. So I'm going to define one function. Let's say what we will define, we will define one function called as a multiply, which will take x and y as a parameter, and it will perform multiplication operation on them and it will return that value. We will also create one calculate function which will take function as a parameter here along with x and y, and then we will perform xy multiplication operation. So if you see here, it will return function of x comma y. So it will perform the multiplication operation since we have already passed. So when we are creating the result, we will pass that multiply function as a parameter to this calculate function along with 4 and 6. So it will print the end result. So I will just show you the example in PyCharm. So I'm just creating one function as a multiply. What this function will do, it will accept two parameters, x and y. This function is simply accepting two parameters, that is x and y, and it will, let's say, it will print or it will return x into y. And when we call this, let's say I'm just calling this function by using print statement. Let's call this multiply function. And in this we can pass two values. Let's say I'm passing 4 and 6. And let's call this function. It will give the output as a 24. This is the simple way. Now what we will do, we will see I'm creating one more function as a calculate function, and in this function I can simply pass function as an argument. So for that I'm just writing func and then along with some parameters x and y. Inside this, what we will do, so this function is accepting function as a parameter along with x and y, and then we will call this function inside that basically main calculate function, and we are going to perform return x into y. So it will perform return x into y by calling. So we are calling that function here. We are calling the function which we will pass as a parameter inside this calculate function. We are calling this function inside the calculate function along with x and y as parameter. So now let's say I am defining one variable result equals to, I am going to call calculate function, and in this calculate function what we have to pass, so three parameters we have to pass. Out of these three, one is a function, there is a x and y. Now this function, we are passing which function here? So basically calculate function can accept function as an argument, right? So I can pass multiply as a function here. So I am simply passing multiply function, comma, let's say I am passing 5 comma 7. So what it will return? So I am just printing result. Let's print the result. It will give the output. So here we have missed something. Let me quickly check. Let me run this file one more time. Let me quickly check one more time. So we are defining one function x comma y. These values we are passing here, x into y. It will return x into y value. Multiply function. Then we have defined one more function, that is calculate, which is accepting function as a parameter. Along with x and y, we are performing returning option of return. It will return multiplication of x into y by calling this function of multiply. And then what we are going to do here is, yeah, so one mistake we have done, it should not be into. Basically it will perform whatever function. So this function can be anything. It can be multiply or it can be any type of a function. So I will just show you adding another function as well. So first let's understand this. So we have defined one function multiply, that is taking two parameters x comma y. It will return multiplication. It will return multiplied value of x and y. This is the one function. Now along with that, let's see, I am creating one more function now. Def, let's say add. Now what this function will do, it will perform x comma y. It will take two parameters x and y, and it will return addition operation. So it will return addition of two values, that is x and y. Now we have two functions here. Then we have created one more function, calculate function, which is accepting function as a parameter, x value and y value, and it will return that specific function with those parameters. So now this function we can pass multiply function or add function, any function which we have created. So here first let's say I'm just going to create one variable, let's say result of multiply. Calculate multiply function, I am passing it here along with 5 and 7. So what is the expected output should come? It should give you the value as 35. It should return the 35 value because it will perform multiply operation. We are passing multiply function here. So it will go here, it will call multiply function along with x and y value. So it should return 35 as an output. Now let's print this output here. So when we are printing this output, let's execute it. We can see 35. Now similar action we will do, but this time I will just create one more variable, let's say result underscore addition equals to, I will call the same function, that is calculate function. But this time in this calculate function, what I will do, I will pass which function? Add function. I will pass add function along with two values 10, 6. So what should be the expected output for this? It should return 16 as an output because it will perform addition operation now. We are calling this add function here. So if I put this addition one here, let's print result underscore addition, it will give you output of 16. So this is the simple example of understanding that we can pass one function as a parameter to another function in Python. So here we have seen the example where calling calculating function, we are passing multiply function as the argument. In the calculate function, argument function x and y become multiply 4 and 6 respectively. And hence function xy becomes multiplication of 4, 6, which returns 24 as a result value. If you pass another function that we have seen, we have passed add a function with two values, it will perform the addition. So that is about passing function as an argument. We can also return function as a value as well. So in Python, we can also return function as a value. So what we will do is, if you see this example, so we can define one function as a greeting in which we are passing name as a parameter. Inside that we have created one more function called hello, which is returning simply hello along with that name. And we can also use this function name, that is hello, it will return hello statement in the inner hello function. This function is now assigned to greet variable. So if you see, I have created another variable called greet, in which I am calling this greeting function. I am passing the name as a parameter, and when we are going to print, or we are going to call this greet function, what it will do, so this value will be assigned to greet. So now whenever we are calling the greet, it will print hello along with the name. So I will just show you the example. I am just commenting this. Now let's see the example of function can be written as a value. So we can return function as a value. So I'm going to define one function, let's say def greeting, which will accept, let's say, name as a parameter. Inside this, I'm creating one more function, let's say hello. What this function will do, so if you see this example, this function will simply return hello, comma, whatever name we have added, we can just perform concatenation on that. And then what we have to do is, once you return hello along with the name, we can also return, basically we have to return hello. So now this hello will return, what this return will hello, so this return hello statement returns the inner hello function. So whatever inner hello function which we have created, this return hello will return that output of that inner hello function, and that output we can assign to another variable. So now if I create another variable, let's say I'm creating one more variable, let's say greet equals to, I have to call this greeting function, and in this greeting function, let's say I can pass value as Jack. So I'm just passing value here as Jack, and let's print greet and see the output. So what should be the output here? It will print, so we have to call this, right? So when we are assigning this value, it's become function now, right? So we have to call this function. So when we call this greet function, it will return hello Jack. So it will return hello Jack. So this is the example of returning function as a value. So we have defined one function called as a greeting, which is accepting name as an argument. Then we have defined one more function inside that called hello, which is returning hello plus the name which we have passed in greeting function. And this statement, that is return hello. So return hello will basically return the output of this inner function. It will return the output of this inner function. And then we have created one variable called greet, which will be basically assigned the greeting function to that greet variable. So whenever we are calling this greet variable, basically greet is also a function now. So when we are calling this greet function, it will print the output as hello Jack. So that is about the passing or returning function as a value. So it will return function as a value. So in this function, in this example, we have seen this return hello statement returns the inner hello function, and this entire inner hello function we have assigned to greet now, and where we have to call the greet function. So this function is now assigned to greet variable. So that's why we have to call, when we call this greet function, we get the expected output. And now, after this prerequisite, let's understand what exactly is Python decorator. So as I have earlier said, Python decorators are used to add some additional functionality to existing functions. Now let's see one example. Now let's see one example for Python decorator. I am just commenting this part. Now let's go to main part, that is Python decorator. Let's understand Python decorators. Okay, So we will start with Python decorators now. So we have seen the prerequisite. Now Python decorators are basically a function that takes in a function and returns it by adding some additional functionality. So let me show you one example. Let's create one function. I'm naming it as simple greeting, and in this function we are going to print hello automation. So whenever we call this simple greeting function, it will print. Let's call this function and let's see the output. So when you execute this file, it is printing hello automation. So this is a simple function which we have created. Now my requirement is I want to add some additional greetings to that function. So whenever I call this function, I should have some additional greetings as well. By using decorator, let's see how we can do it. So what I will do, I will simply create one more function called as extra greetings. That function will take another function as a parameter or argument. Inside this function, we will create one more inner function, and this inner function will print good morning. And the function which is we are taking as an argument, that function also we are calling inside this inner function. And after that we have to return the inner function as a value. So we can assign this function to another keyword. So let's say, now pay attention. So now I am going to create one keyword. Let's say decorated greeting equals to, I will call this extra greetings function, and this function will take one argument, and that is a function. So I will pass simple greeting as an argument to extra greetings function. So it will return the inner function. So basically it will return the output of this function as a value. It will pass it to decorated greetings. So once you call this decorated greetings, it should print, let's see the output. It will print additional greetings as well. So it will print good morning along with hello automation. So this is a simple example of decorator. So this is basically a decorated function which we are calling. In Python, instead of assigning these two separate keyword, there is one more way by which we can do the same operation. So there is a better way to do the same operation. So what I will do, I will simply remove this part that is equivalent to this one only. So I will just comment out this part. Let's comment out this part and let's see the alternate. So by using @ keyword also we can do the same operation. So on this simple greeting function, we have to simply do @ and let's use this decorated function @extra greetings. So now whenever we are calling this simple greeting function, so now let's call this simple greeting function, it will give you the same output as earlier. If you see the output, it is giving as good morning and hello automation. So this is basically a decorator example. So we have seen a simple decorator example. We can also use multiple decorators as well. Multiple decorators can be chained in Python. So let's see the multiple decorator example. So this is one decorator function which we have created. Along with that, let's create one more function. So I'm going to create one more function, def add stars. I'm creating one more function, add stars, which will take function as an argument, and inside this function again there will be inner function. That inner function, what that will do, that inner function will print some stars, and then we have to call the function which we are passing it as an argument. So we are calling the function which we are passing it as an argument, and then again we have to return inner. So now this is another decorator function which we have created. And now let's say I want to add this decorator functionality on this simple greeting function. Then again I just have to simply use @add stars. So now two decorators are applied on simple greeting function. So now whenever we call this simple greeting function, first the innermost decorator will be applied and then the outermost will be applied. So let's see the output here. If you see the output, first innermost, that is good morning, and then stars are also applied on this simple greeting function output. So this is the example of using multiple decorators. So we have seen we can also chain the decorators in Python. We can apply multiple decorators to a single function by placing them on one after each other, with the most inner one decorator being applied first. So that we have seen. Now let's see another example of decorator with parameters. So far we have seen without parameter, but now let's see one more example of decorator with parameters as well. So I am just commenting this part. Let's comment out this part, and now let's see one more example. So I'm just creating one function for division which will take two parameters, let's say x and y. It will perform division operation on them. So whenever we are calling this division function, so let's call this division function in which we are passing the values are 10 and 5. So let's print the output. So when we print the output, we will get what output we will get. So we will get 2 as an output. So here if you see, we are simply printing 2 as an output. Let me remove this one and let's execute this file one more time. So we have to call this function division in which we have to pass two values, that is x and y. Now let's execute this function. So we are getting output as 2.0. Now instead of 5, if I pass 0 as a value, and let's execute this one more time. So we will see the error, because if any number is getting divided by 0, then it will throw the error. Now I have to use one decorator to avoid this error. So what I will do, let's remove this part so far, and let's say I'm just adding one more decorator function, let's say def smart division, which will take function as an argument, and then we will define one more function, that is inner function, which will have x and y as an argument. And in this we will perform, or we will add one more condition. If y value equals to 0, then we are going to simply print one error message, cannot divide by 0, and then we will return inner value. And after that condition is over, so we are simply going to call the original function as well to perform the division operation, and then we will return inner again. Let's add a bracket here. So now we have added one more function, that is smart division. So whenever we apply this decorator on top of division function, now let's try out again dividing by 0. So let's call this division function, in which let's pass value 10 and 0, and let's execute this file this time. So just a small mistake here. So what we have done is, we are calling this inner function x and y, and when we are calling the original function, in that we have to pass x and y here as well, then only it will perform the original operation. So now, so this one should be inside the if block. So it should not be outside of this. It should be outside of the if condition, but it should be inside the inner block. So small indentation error was there. So now if you execute this file, let's execute this file, you see the error message, that is cannot divide by 0. So this is another example in which we have seen parameterized decorator function. So we have created one decorator function here, that is smart division, which is accepting function as an argument. Then we have added condition in inner function, that is x comma y. If y is 0, then we are printing this error message, and then we are calling this function which we are passing it here outside of this if condition block, and we are returning the function as a value. And whenever we are calling this division function, we have applied decorator here, so it will print this condition, and instead of 0, if I pass 5, then it will perform the normal division operation. In that case, it will give the expected output. So this is the example of using parameter in decorators. So let's revise one more time. So in Python decorators, basically it's a design pattern that allows you to modify functionality of a function by wrapping it in another function. The outer function is called the decorator, which takes the original function as an argument, and it will return a modified version of it. And before learning the Python decorator, we have to understand few things like, we can use nested function in Python as well, in which we can define inner function inside the outer function. So one function can be defined inside another function. We have already seen example of passing function as an argument as well. So with Python, we can pass function as an argument as well. We have also seen we can return a function as a value. We have also seen the example where function is written as a value. Then we have seen the decorator example, a simple decorator. Multiple decorators can be used, and we have also seen example of decorators with parameters. So thanks for watching this video.